You know, something amazing is happening in classrooms all over the world, maybe a little under the radar. It's the rise of the multilingual student. So today, we're going to dig into how we can reframe this, not as a challenge, but as what it really is, an incredible educational superpower.
Just for a second, picture a classroom. What do you hear? Is it just one language? Or is it more like a symphony of many? From Polish to Khmer, Icelandic to English, the modern classroom is literally a mini version of our interconnected world. The real question is, are our educational systems actually ready to listen?
And look, this isn't some kind of sci-fi future we're talking about. This incredible linguistic diversity is the reality in classrooms right now, today, all across the globe. Just take a look at this number for a second. 519,567. That's how many Ukrainian kids suddenly entered the Polish school system because of the war. I mean, this wasn't some slow, gradual change. This was an absolute earthquake for the education system, forcing everyone to ask, okay, how do we support students who don't speak the language of the classroom?
And hey, it's not just about crisis situations, right? You've got indigenous kids in Cambodia learning in their own native languages. You have young people in Iceland whose own language is being shaped by the English they see online. Or students in Nigeria learning in English because of a colonial past. You see the pattern here? Totally different stories, but they all point to the same global truth. Having a bunch of different languages in one classroom is the new normal.
So, when you're faced with this new reality, you're basically at a crossroads. And the path you take, well, it all comes down to how you answer one really fundamental question. Is the language a kid speaks at home a problem you need to fix, or is it a resource you can build on?
And that really brings us to this fundamental choice. On one side, you have the language as problem view. It sees a child's home language as a barrier, something to get rid of. That path leads to assimilation and what's called subtractive education. But then there's the other side, the language as a resource view. This sees a home language as a total asset, a foundation you can use to build new skills and create truly multilingual people.
Okay, so let's get real about what subtractive actually means. It's not just about words. When you tell a child that the language they speak with their family is a problem, you're risking so much more. You could be taking away a piece of their identity, their connection to their own culture, their confidence. It's basically telling a kid what you bring from home is wrong, and the research is pretty clear. That can be incredibly damaging.
Now, these two ways of thinking, problem versus resource, they aren't just academic theories. They have real-world consequences, shaping everything from national laws right down to what happens in the classroom every day. To really see how this plays out, let's look at a fascinating case study.
Let's take a look at Norway. For more than 100 years, they've been dealing with their own internal linguistic diversity. They have 2 official languages. And for about 50 years, the government actually tried to force them together, to merge them into one. That's a classic languages problem move right there. But they finally gave up on that policy in 2002, moving towards a 2-language future. It's just a huge reminder that these things are super complex, and getting to a place of real acceptance can take, well, generations.
But here's the thing. Just because a law says 2 languages are equal doesn't mean they actually are in real life. This chart shows what's called the exposure gap. In Norway, you're just way more likely to see and hear the dominant language, bokmål, than the minority one, nynorsk. And when it comes to learning a language, exposure is everything. It's a perfect example of how, even with the best intentions on paper, one language can still be at a massive disadvantage.
Okay, so here's the big takeaway, the massive mental shift we need to make. It's called the stepping stone principle. The idea is that having a strong foundation in your first language, your L1, is the best possible starting point for learning a second one, your L2. Think about it like this. You wouldn't bulldoze the foundation of a house to build a second story, right? No, you build on top of it. It's the exact same thing with language.
Okay, so that's the theory, but how do we actually do this? How do we put that language as resource idea into practice in a real classroom? Well, let's look at some really powerful practical tools.
All right, let's start with something super simple, almost ridiculously low-tech. Research shows that if you just pair a picture book with a simple toy that matches the story, well, something pretty magical happens. First, the toy grabs the kid's attention. Then, as you read, the child can actually move the toy around, acting out the story. And just like that, the simple act of play turns reading from something passive into this cool, interactive experience, which helps them understand the story way better.
Okay, now let's jump to the other end of the spectrum, a more high-tech approach called blended learning.
Basically, it's a mix of face-to-face teaching and digital tools. A teacher might introduce a new idea to the whole class, and then students can use digital tools to work at their own pace, maybe using things like translation apps or visual dictionaries to help them out. And that right there, that autonomy, is absolutely crucial in a multilingual classroom. It lets every student get what they need before coming back together as a group.
So, what's the big picture here? Why does this all matter so much? Because really, the impact of these choices, problem versus resource, it goes way, way beyond the classroom walls.
Look, when we embrace this language as resource idea, we're not just creating better students, we're literally building a better world. We're helping to preserve priceless cultural heritage. We're helping kids build stronger, more confident identities. And ultimately, we're building a society that's more connected, more capable, and just better prepared for the global future we're all a part of.
And you know, this quote from Luis Tito Namkil just nails it. He calls teachers a catalyst of transitions and innovations. It's such a powerful way to put it, and it's a great reminder that this isn't just some abstract idea. It's something teachers can start doing like today.
So we want to leave you with a question to think about. In your own community, your own neighborhood, is language being treated as a barrier that keeps people apart, or is it a bridge that connects them? Because the answer to that question, well, that's what's going to shape all of our futures. Thanks so much for joining us.